monster bottle. But this aggro try is very dangerous, and Titan, well, they're going to be running an aggro try of their own. Net, Stinct, as well as Ben are going to be going into the off lane together and leaving the Omni Knight solo up against MVP. Now, MVP, seeing this Omni Knight, may change up their lanes and try and fight Titan. I mean, I think it's a good idea. Omni Knight is going to be left with a pretty decent, well, as I say that, it would mean he'd be going up against the Viper in the side solo lane. I don't know about that one. I don't think he can deal with that. Like, even with Repel and Heal, I still think he's just going to get out-harassed. But I personally would try and fight Titan's tri-lane. The Chilling Touch is scary, and the Wraithfire Blast is one of the best single-target stunts in the game, but I think you have the better initiation and better damage. You are a bit glass cannon with these three heroes all being very squishy, so it is a bit of a risk, but I think the initiation is on the side of MVP. And I think 9 times out of 10, when it comes to tri-lane versus tri-lane engagements, whoever is the initiator is going to be winning the engagement. So I feel they should go and fight Titan, but instead they're just going to both teams are going to be abandoning their offlaner to their fate. Viper and Omni Knight are both going to have a different time. Actually, they're going to make a Viper tri-lane. It looks like MVP are going to rotate the Skywrath Mage and the Vengeful Spirit down to bottom, and this is a big advantage. I think I would rather have the Viper up against the Omni Knight, but apparently MVP don't feel the same way. They're going to let Musica get all that solo experience. Viper is definitely a very strong tri-laner. They don't have the Vengeful Spirit Magic Missile and into an arrow stun combination now because of the fact that they're choosing to have the Viper in this lane, but he certainly does provide a lot of good sustained damage, and once he gets a couple levels into that corrosive skin, he's rather tanky as well. This leads our mid matchup. It's going to be the Death Prophet versus the Invoker, where Raji is going to be facing the YamateH, old school Southeast Asian legend. Certainly better harassment. Can come out from the Viper, and probably better CSing with that Nether Toxin. So if they play this lane a bit slower, the Viper can actually do more work than the Mirana could in this engagement. But most of our action should be coming from the tri-lane. Net and Extinct, they're both going to try and to rotate in here with a Sand King. Now, this is going to see, fortunately did get boots first, which may make up for the lack of range for Burrow Strike. But it's still going to be rather close. Death Prophet is very slow at when you only have level 1 Witchcraft, and that's another advantage. I mean, actually, you take a look. He's got a whole 100 movement speed over the Death Prophet right now with that added smoke movement speed. So you can see just how fast Sand King is going to be, but it looks like the Death Prophet knows what's up. Playing very passive. They're going to go in. Net immediately eats a Tango. They're going to be taking a lot of damage here as he dives in deep into the tower. Net already getting blown up. Crit Swarm finishes them off. And no surprise, this is going to end poorly here for Titan as they get dove and dive underneath the tier 1 tower and will lose 2 hero kills because of it. First blood and double kill for the Death Prophet, who's now going to be levels 5 by the time that the Invoker gets back in the lane. Ridiculously good start for Death Prophet. And I can't believe Titan really tried to go for that dive, and I feel that was rather silly of them. Ohio, meanwhile, he's got to make up for his teammates because he is an Omni Knight safe lane solo. This is going to be a true test for Omni Knight and see whether or not he can be an effective core or not, because this game has already started off very, very difficult for them. Seems like the Wraith King has actually picked up some decent levels here so far. Hasn't been harassed out of lane too heavily by the Viper. Probably with the 2 missing supports, Viper has tried to play a bit more defensive. But eventually he will start harassing that Wraith King out of the lane. Should be a pretty easy lane to win. Middle lane, they're going to try and go in YamateH. Once again, the slow it lands. YamateH stops moving for a second here, and this is actually going to cost him his life. Turns around, gets off the Cold Snap and a Sunstrike, but the Sunstrike misses. Ohio makes a rotation into the middle lane, but it does very, very little for them. 3-0, MVP Hot 6. I felt like they were the underdogs versus Invasion, and definitely felt like they were the underdogs up against Titan, but this has been a very poor start for Titan in what was already kind of a curious draft from them. So not feeling real confident about Titan's chances right now, but we'll see how they can turn around going into the mid game. 4 minutes in, though, to have such a big lead on the Death Prophet with that 2,500 net worth. He doesn't even have that amazing CS because he was forced to sit back constantly. Just those 3 different kills now. Huge increase in gold for him. That means phase booth's already up, so any chance of ganking this Death Prophet, especially as the levels of Witchcraft start rolling in, very unlikely. We now have a Mirana in the offlane solo up against an aggressive, up against a tri-lane now. Or at least should be. I believe the Sand King net really needs to start stacking and doing jungle. This laning phase is completely lost. They just need to start making a recovery of some sort. But this Mirana is going to be perfectly happy with this matchup because the initiation here for this defensive tri-lane now is going to be the Wraithfire Blast, which Musica can actually leap and just get away from that blast every single time. So as long as he's paying attention, he should really never be caught out. And this means he can play pretty aggressively despite the fact he's facing up against 3 heroes, especially when he's got such a big level lead on all of them.
Dire's bottom tower
that's going to start
is under
farming
attack.
up some of those stacks. Ohio, meanwhile, is going to be left to try and defend this tier 1 tower. But if he gets a bit too close, like Repel has a serious animation, so there's a good chance that he is hit by the magic missile before the Repel gets off. And then on top of that, you have a Skywrath Mage whose silence is instant, so they can very easily pop this Omni Knight if Ohio overextends himself, and that's why he's going to Repel every single time beforehand. Get close enough to the creep wave to try and draw away some of that aggro.
Dire's bottom tower is under attack.
To try and minimize the damage on the tier 1 tower and get himself some early experience. And I'm not feeling this one. It looks like the Wraith King's going to be going for an early hand of minus once again. It's a build that I very much disagree with.
Fortified.
Especially up against heroes like Viper, especially up against a fast pushing lineup like MVP have. They have the Death Prophet, so they're probably going to be able to put in some serious work into the tier 1 and tier 2 towers fairly early on. I think there's so much incentive against going for a Midas and going for a more aggressive build that I don't see why Ben would still try and go for the Midas, especially after such a bad start for them. Tier 1 tower is going to fall in the bottom lane. Repel is going to be up soon, but not soon enough for Ohio
Dire's
to attempt
bottom
a
tower has
deny
fallen.
there. At least he does pick up his level 6 Guardian Angel. Death Prophet sitting here waiting for the opportunity to try and get another crit swarm onto YamateH because he's been forced to just sit back with his quas and regen up bit by bit just because the harassment of that magic damage is too much for him to handle. Another rotation from MVP Hot 6. I like this. Musica backs himself up and uses the Moonlight Shadow, which would have been a brilliant play. Unfortunately, this laning ward coming out from Team Titan is actually going to be spotting that attempted rotation. You can see it from the way the Wraith King is playing so far back. They know exactly what's happening. Top 3 CS all going the way of MVP. And this B team here for MVP is doing some serious work against one of the best Southeast Asian teams in the scene. And I don't think, especially looking at some of those rares that were back, there may be a lot of disappointed people out there today. There it is. You're going to see Death Prophet go straight for the Yule Scepter this match because the Viper almost already has a mech. In fact, he does have a mech. So that very fast timing for him. And Mirana, well, you've already got the Starstorm maxed out. They lead with the slow now. Arrow goes out. Snags, just barely snags the Wraith King, but with a heal and a repel, there's no way they can go for the dive. Nor should they anyway, because it's a Wraith King. You have the reincarnation. No point in trying to dive powers for a kill that will mean nothing for you. I do like how aggressive this MVP, this duo support is doing, but unfortunately the smoke is going to be spoiled by the Sand King, who is sitting on the side, waiting for that exact interaction, because he's got nothing better to do while he waits to stack. So it makes sense for him to be sitting here on the cliff, intercepting those kind of smoke rotations in. How's Net doing? Net almost has a blink dagger. This is how ridiculous Sanking jungle is. How quickly he's able to pick up a blink dagger despite a terrible start for both of these supports. He is going to be level 7 with a blink, and this is going to be a great opportunity for them to make some headway. You could see the way that Net actually sped up his jungling. Instead of grabbing Epicenter at level 6, he went for the extra level in Sandstorm. And this has sped up his jungle, I think, quite a bit because of that choice of skill build. He actually probably picked up Sandstorm at level 5, and then his 3rd level went for an extra level Burrow Strike, but now the Epicenter is up. Blink Dagger as well as the smoke gives himself just enough extra gold to get a nice little smoke for his first initiation. But where is the priority going to be? Does he try and shut down the Death Prophet? That's probably one of the first things in their minds. Do they go for Musica and potentially catch out some of the supports that may be rotating up to that top lane as well? They need to make this first Blink Dagger usage worth it. Otherwise, it's just a lot of wasted time for them. MVP, they're on the verge of just 5-manning down the rest of these Tier 1 towers. Well, the Tier 1 tower top and maybe even some of the Tier 2s. Exorcism is just now being leveled. They may wait for Raji to pick up his level 2 Exorcism because it's a rather large increase in damage for a Death Prophet. But while she is farming, they will sit 4 heroes here in the top lane, knowing that the mech will be able to give them enough of an advantage that they can an apparition though. Ice Blast is going to lead the way. Sunstrike onto Banwa and the Epicenter as well, immediately blowing up that Viper. That is a great start to the fight for Titan. The rotation comes in from Raji though, and he's going to try and push this in with an Exorcism. Moonlight Shadow used. And that ward is probably doing work once again. Net, he's already scrambling himself away. Ben is going to be hiding himself in the jungle. This laning ward twice now has caught out those Moonlight Shadow rotations. Even if they didn't see any hero go invis there, they saw them all go into their individual hiding spots and never come back out. So it's fairly obvious. First Exorcism used, I believe, and that's going to be a Tier 1 tower. In fact, it was the first Exorcism. Ice Blast is a great ability, and I love the way they targeted that Viper in that last team fight. The Epicenter probably wasn't
top tower is under
needed in the jump up against the Viper. They really wanted to make sure he died and there was going to be no mech in the team fight. That was a great combination of abilities used by Titan, leading with the Ice Blast like that, and then revealing the Blink Dagger for the first time. However, they're going to need a lot more plays like that if they want to be able to come back into this game, as MVP now holding a 4,000 gold lead. Bit of an experience lead, though, for Titan after that last couple of pickoffs. Net worth 5,800 for the Death Prophet, with Yule Scepter already picked up by him. He's going to be in some trouble. Yule Scepter is used, and he's going to be dodging both the Burrow Strike. Oh my god, he dodged everything with that one. He actually make it away. That goes off, and he's now fine. It's going to be Titan. They're going to be turned around on. Nice use of the repel, but it stops. The swap there from Jubei goes through the repel and stops the teleport. Now they're just going to chase him down until the repel is gone and clean him up. Crypt Swarm from Raji's will be enough to secure the kill. And that is the 4th kill now for our Death Prophet in 12 minutes. That Yule Scepter, though, he dodged the Burrow Strike, which was understandable to Sand King. I don't think you can blame that on him. It was just a good timing for the Yule Scepter. The Ice Blast, unfortunately, was barely off the mark and maybe a bit too early as well. But the Omni Knight heal that went off and missed the Death Prophet was really the one that sealed it. That they could not. There was no way they could heal that Death Prophet in time. Too many nukes missed at that point in time. And with the help coming in from the Viper, they're now going to be able to push into this Tier 2 tower. Red starts coming out, and they're going to repel him first. Leading in, gets 2 men, Burrow Strike, and guarantees going off. No, the swap, why don't we? It's still off the Epicenter. It's going to be able to lay down some good damage on MVP while they focus on the Death Prophet in the back. MVP, in order to dodge that Epicenter damage, had to get away from him, and that left the Death Prophet all by herself on the front lines, who was also hit by an Ice Blast. And they quickly took her down. Titan, despite some major fumbles and the beginning of this game, are doing a great job of forcing some team fights and not just rolling over and letting MVP take down all their tier 2 towers. I believe they also did get, no, Musica actually secured the last hit on the tower. Or, sorry, not Musica, Roshan. They're going to find another potential pick-off here. Ohio already silenced up. Omni-Knight goes down. Sunstrike, meanwhile, is used on Bodwa, but Ben is having a hard time getting close enough. Now he's just going to take tighter route and lose his reincarnation. Skywrath Mage, he's going to try to revive those minions. Full snapped up. He's going to fall. Ben will fall a second time as well. And he's going to get a right click. 2 for 1 so far. Net turns around. Stuns up Musica. Musica losing a lot of armor so far. Blink just in time by Net to stay ahead of that arrow. Now Raji with the Yule Scepter goes for the clutch kill on the Invoker and will be able to secure it. The silence goes off before an attempt to Ghost Wall. Great play there. That was an important pickoff. Like, Net managed to get himself away. Raji probably could have Yule Scepter either one of them. But he really wanted the Invoker kill over the Sand King. Plus, the Sand King has both Sandstorm and Burrow Strike and Blink Dagger to get away. Invoker a bit easier to get, especially if you're able to land that silence as he comes down from the Yule Scepter. 73, 15 minutes in, what was almost a good fight once again for Titan. It's just the fact they lost that Omni-Knight right away. And that was a really good response there from Nuts, who had a great reaction with a silence to go off on the Omni-Knight before anything happened. And Omni-Knight just got bursted down so quickly. Hand of Midas, Treads, as well as a Magic Wand picked up by the Wraith King. At the very least, we hope this Midas will be able to get him to level 16 a bit faster. But when it comes to winning these team fights, I think that Hand of Midas is... I think he's going to regret it when this game is over. Net rotating in is going to be able to find Bonbon with the Epicenter as well as the Ice Blast. That did get off, but the Sunstrike or even the Purification, there's just too much nuking damage. Even against magic resistance, even against the mech that went off before the Ice Blast, they're still going to be able to take him down. Wraith King does get picked off in the middle lane. Nice gank there from MVP, knowing that the Wraith King, seeing as he only had his level 1 reincarnation and such a long cooldown, they knew they could easily pick up another kill on him before the ultimate is up. And now they're going to use that advantage to be able to push down another tower.
Radiant's bottom
as
tower
Raji's going to be sitting on the front
attack.
lines with his double damage.
Dire's
they're actually going to be making rotations here to try and stop this attempt by a trade of Titan, as they're going for a tier 1 tower currently. Ice Blast goes on Raji and able to force it back. Juve, though, will lose his life as Net is able to finish him off. Same time, arrow hits Net. He'll go down in exchange for picking up that Vengeful Spirit. YamateH gets away. Ohio also going to be able to get out with his teleport. And the tower does die to the creeps. So a big win there for Titan, who not only defended their tier 2, but also successfully got a tier 1 tower, made a decent trade. Sand King for a Vengeful Spirit isn't great one way or the other, but at the very least, that could have been so much more disastrous, but they actually came away ahead of that. Being able to stall up the push from MVP even further, getting themselves some good tower gold, and the beginning of a Necro Book. But I feel like this is now the 3rd item that Titan have picked up that is a large gold investment for a minimum return. And I'm referring to the 2 Midases, the Midas on the Invoker, which I understand. Midas means a lot more for an Invoker than many other heroes because levels are so important, so that I don't mind. The Wraith King, who picked up the other Midas, and now a Necro Book for the Invoker. Now, I'm not saying that either one of these items are wrong for YamateH. I do agree that Midas is great on Invoker, and Necro Book 3, when he gets it, is going to be super powerful. But it just feels like a lack of coordination of item choices here between him and the Wraith King that they invested so much. That's going to get picked off in the bottom lane. Nicely done by Musica. But Necro Book 1 does very little for you, right? It gives you some small amount of stats, and it gives you these really, really weak minions that feed away a lot of gold, that aren't that dangerous, that don't do a whole lot of damage, that are easily right-click down. You know, all in all, the Necro Book 1 minions are just not a threat. That's why you see a lot of players, when they go for Necro Book, they actually don't use Necro Book 1. They hold on to all the items until they are able to pick up full Necro Book 2. Because at that point, the minions are a bit better. So I'm just saying that, like, the Hand of Midas, you know, that it's an item that doesn't really give you a lot of benefit for at least 10 to 15 minutes at the very minimum.
Radiant's top tower has fallen.
And choosing to have 3 different items like that, another Hand of Midas as well as Necrobook 1, that's a large amount of gold investment for a very minimum return about this 20-minute mark, which is where you know MVP are going to be pushing you very hard. That being said, Titan are doing an excellent job now as we go into the mid-game. I really feel like they're outplaying MVP now. As their movement around the map has been stellar. They just got themselves another Tier 1 tower, which now upgrades that Necrobook to level 2, which means a lot more for Titan. And while MVP, they may be ahead in gold, but it feels like they're still losing a lot of ground up against Team Titan, where they should have really been dominating this whole entire part of the game. And that's because Titan are just doing a better job moving around the map and staying away from some of those team fights. If they go on for a straight-on 5 versus 5 team fight, it's always at a better setup for them, which is usually popping the Viper and taking away the mech. Bit of stacking going on. Let's take a look at some of these carries here for MVP. For example, Musica has just picked up his Diffusal Blade, which is a good counter. Not only is it a strong item for Mirana in general, but the reason you don't see it too often is there are better items. Up against an Omni Knight, though, every team is going to need at least 1 Diffusal, just because that Repel is a bit too obnoxious to deal with, and then even the ultimate Guardian Angel can't be obnoxious, and here it comes again. The pickoffs. Ice Blast, Epicenter, Blink in, Burrow Strike, and should be enough damage, especially with the Sunstrike. Spawn Wall will now tick out. There goes that Aegis. Free pickoff there for Titan. They're going to do nothing more. They're not going to try and get greedy off of it. They just burned an Aegis for free. Epicenter is going to be down for 100 seconds, and an MVP, they should be trying to force a fight now off of this one. That's why they pop the Moonlight Shadow and start moving forward. But Titan already know what's going on. And, oh no, Necrobook 3 is up for YamateH. Skywrath Mage has to force staff himself away before he gets bursted down from those minions. BKB is finished up by the Death Prophet, so you can see how MVP, they're beginning to get some of their finishing items. The Diffusal from the Musica, BKB for the Death Prophet. They're actually going to be coming in from behind now. Raji already pops his BKB, Net is going to be forced away. Titan just needing to try and get him out of here, but Alino's already launched his Blind Musica. He's going to go down as the Sunstrike does land for everyone, but then is going to be trapped inside, good point away. Now focuses on taking down the Death Prophet. All the meteor damage will be able to come in, finishing her off. And now Net comes back in. Beautiful 2-man Burrow Strike. They're going to turn on him as much as possible, so the rest of Titan are on their way. Start focusing on the Skywrath Mage, take down that big damage dealer, and force him away. 4 versus 2. They're going to keep on going. Now focusing on Viper, going to pick him apart with the continual stuns, and Titan just... I just can't say it enough. I felt like they completely outplayed MVP in that team fight. MVP did a great job every single time they're trying to target the Omni Knight. That was another fight where Omni Knight didn't get off a Purification nor a Guardian
Radiant's
Angel.
middle tower is under attack.
But the single
Radiant
target
structures are
focus
fortified.
of Titan is so damn good every single time. The team coordination, I would love to be able to hear these guys in English, of course, on Vent or on Skype or however they talk to each other, just because of the fact that being able to like land the Sun Strikes on whatever target they are burrow striking or whatever target they are that is going to be hit by the Ice Blast. They're making sure they lay all their damage into one unit, taking him out in the beginning of the team fight, which is something that MVP, I mean, they're doing, right? They're taking out the Omni Knight as well, but just not to the same extent that Titan is doing. And Titan do have the better heroes to do so. They have an amazing single target damage squad, especially with the Invoker being able to add in all that extra Sunstrike damage. The Wraith King, he's certainly, I mean, I had some bad words to say about it, but this might is under attack. It hasn't punished them. They may have lost some early team fights because of it, but it looks like, especially after those last 2 team fights from Titan, that they're actually going to be able to stretch this out into late game. And that whole Midas timing that we were talking about is that the game isn't going to end.
Radiant's middle tower has been
because
denied.
We already have a Blink Dagger up for the Wraith King. He's soon going to be building into a straight-up BKB, I believe. He's got a lot of magic damage he has to worry about. Other options would
Dire's
be, of
top
course,
tower
SNY
is under
as
attack.
well as Halberd, but Halberd, the evasion doesn't do anything up against Ghost. You don't have any obvious right clickers. I mean, Viper is a nice person to disarm, I guess, but it doesn't really work out that well. SNY, well, extra movement speed would be helpful here, but I doubt it's what his build is going to be. I think he's just rather tank up at this point in time. And make sure that when he does blink on somebody, stuns them up, he isn't immediately stunned by the magic missile from Jube. Titan continue the split push. Hopefully YamateH doesn't get picked off here. They found him. Get the Ult Scepter off. The fall off silent will go off. YamateH unable to get off his Ghost Walk, and he will be taken down.
Radiant's middle
This time,
tower is under
MVP do
attack.
successfully punish Titan for their attempt at split pushing. Now, the rest of the team is going to start aggressively pushing out this top lane where they can. They're just trying to buy time, more and more time, because they do have a pretty damn good late game squad. In the fact that they do have Omni Knight, one of the best, I would say, utility support guys going into the late game. The problem has always been his laning phase, and even some of those early fights and how questionable he can be as a support utility style hero. They have Ice Blast, which is amazing. Invoker and Wraith King both can go into the late game as decent carries, challenging the
Dire's
Death
structures
Prophet
are fortified.
and Murata pretty easily. And this is why MVP are trying to go uphill now. But they're going to be fighting into an Epicenter Ice Blast combination. It feels like they kind of need some counterwards just to be able to see the incoming Ice Blast and know what's going to be happening. I mean, even just enough heads up to be able to get off your Yule Scepter and dodge the Ice Blast can make a big difference for MVP. But they used their first Exorcism in an attempt to push uphill, and it did a minimal amount of damage, 550. Not really anything to write home about.
Double damage.
So they're going to need a bit more. Veil of Discord now finished up by the Sand King. Love this item on Sand King, man. Doesn't even, like, Net is going all out damage. He's not going any mana sustain whatsoever. You would expect at least Arcane Boots to be finished up by Net by this point in time, but he doesn't even go for that. He goes straight for the damage. He knows how essential that one team fight is going to be when MVP try and push uphill, and it's going to matter that he is able to pop the Veil and add in additional magic damage, be able to pop heroes faster rather than be able to get multiple burrow strikes in one team fight. MVP looking a little lost right now. I have to say, I'm not sure if they know what their game plan is. Because when it comes to item pickoffs, well, they've got Aghanims, actually. That's going to be finished up by Bonwa, so that's a pretty big upgrade for them. The Death Prophet maybe can try and finish off a Heart, though that's going to delay this game another 5 minutes at least. Musica, I mean, he could start going for a BKB of his own. But again, another 5 minutes at least. So these sort of things give Titan openings where they've already displayed. They're very adept at being able to find those pickoffs when you do try and separate and farm up some of the side lanes. They will take you down with that Net Burrow Strike, Ice Blast, and Sunstrike combination. So if they sit back and farm, oh, the smoke up with my shadow shield, beautiful throw right down the edge by the touch. Not going to hit on much there. BKB activated. Raji also gets swapped around a little bit. They're going to turn on to the Wraith King. The rest of the Titan has been forced back. BKB looks like that. They're going to come back in for the second time. Oh, what a Burrow Strike. Epicenter is able to finish off the Skywrath main. Bonwa also going to fall here. Death Prophet, though, is just tearing everyone apart here on the Net side. He's getting very low. Ohio finally gets off his ultimate. Hits the Purification, though. Raji being right-clicked down, getting so low, but not quite enough. Ohio can't possibly catch up now, as Musica, as well as Jube, are going to try and join Raji as he fights up against the two other heroes, but Titan do teleport themselves away. That is still not a bad fight for Titan. Now, the reason I say that, very obviously, MVP won the team fight. They only lost the Viper as well as the Skywrath Mage. There were no buybacks that were blown there. So MVP, if you just look at the team fight and just look at the way the gold and the experience is going to swing off that team fight, MVP definitely won it. But it comes down to the extenuating circumstances, the circumstances surrounding that team fight, which was Titan just forced a fight on the MVP side of the base. Titan also just forced out an Exorcism. This means they have plenty of time. There's going to be no immediate push off of that one team fight for MVP. They'll get a bit of extra gold, and that's going to be nice for them and everything else. But Titan won't immediately be threatened by this at all. And what it extensively does is just draw out the game even longer for them. And that's to their advantage. Death Prophet has already kind of hit a peak. You're at level 3 Exorcism. You don't get any stronger than this when it comes to damage. You can get certain things like maybe Assault Cuirass, which minuses your armor. That leaves you more susceptible to the Exorcism damage. There's also, you know, tanking up for the Death Prophet, getting items like Shivas. Those are definitely items that help out the Death Prophet, but when it comes down to it, those items have mitigating returns. The Death Prophet has hit a serious peak right now, and it's going to be getting, bit by bit, weaker and weaker and weaker. Same goes with the Viper as well. Viper, well, he hasn't hit level 16. He's just about to grab his Aghanims. So there is going to be upgrades, but certainly this hero is strongest about that 20 to 25 minute mark. And if they can delay this out, he's going to start getting weaker. Now, still definitely going to be a strong disabler, especially up against this Wraith King. But with the items that Wraith King has, that's kind of been mitigated by quite a bit. The Blink Dagger initiation, so he's immediately in melee range of somebody. He doesn't have to worry about being kited from the get-go. He's going to be able to follow that up with the BKB, meaning he won't get stunned. He'll still be able to keep in range of some heroes and get in some solid right clicks, and that's not too bad. The attempt to spy out Roshan. Looks like that's where our next fight is going to be. MVP. That'll be another Exorcism, though. If they want to be able to get this Aegis, they have to commit an Exorcism in order to try and take down Roshan, because they simply do not have enough physical damage to take it down with right clicks. I'm not sure if they can go for that. I think I would much rather see them try and go for an uphill push, because Roshan Pit leaves them so exposed. Not only is it an Exorcism usage, but you've got Ice Blast, which now has an Aghanims upgrade for the Ancient Apparition. He also just picked up level 2, so that's an extra damage coming out from that. And then obviously the Sand King wrecks team fights when they happen in the Roche Pit. $15 to 11, 30 minutes in, 5,000 gold lead for MVP, 4,000 experience lead for MVP. They're certainly ahead. I do feel like the timer is taking a little bit, but they are still farming up well. You got to give them that. Like they just finished up the heart for Raji. That's good for him. They have the Aghanims upgrade for the Viper as well. And even this Mirana is beginning to have the opportunity to build in some damage. Now that you finished off that BKB, and Musica isn't entirely a glass cannon that could die from one good Burrow Strike Epicenter combination, Musica now has the opportunity to build into some right-click damage. Titan on their side, though, YamateH, well, he got his Boots of Travel. He can now start building into some extenuating items such as Scythe of Ice, or even an additional mobility item may not be a bad idea, considering the, you know, how powerful Death Prophet is. Maybe a mobility item for him could be helpful. Looks like he's going to go for the Scythe of Ice instead, just extra tank. YamateH, he got the Veil Discord. He's probably not building into anything, any big upgrades anytime soon. Omni Knight, I love this item for an Omni Knight. I think mobility is rather key for him, because it's simply put, he's not a great frontline hero, because you don't want to be targeted and taken out of the fight before you're able to get off your ultimate. But at the same time, you do need to have the ability to get into the middle of the team fight as quick as you possibly can. And so Force Staffs and Blink Daggers, I think, are great items for him to be able to respond and get the correct repels and purifications at the right time. Looks like we are getting Epicenter. They're going to try and snag it here. Aegis is on the ground. No, Viper actually managed to grab it. Net didn't have the room to be able to snag it in time. Now he's going to be blown up. Just the hit. It's still looking like a pretty decent late team fight, though. Ben, with that Guardian Angel, is able to deal with a lot of this physical damage. Raji's going to be running out of Exorcism soon, but it doesn't look like it's soon enough. Ohio already down. Ben trying to blink away, but he gets hit by the Crit Sword just as the Blink Dagger is coming up, and now he's going to die a second time, losing 2 heroes. Top lane is pushing in, nor do they have an Exorcism, so MVP will be forced back, but they just won that Aegis for themselves. Unfortunately, it was used in that last team fight, but they walked away. Again, victors of another team fight. Still got to question the extenuating circumstances around it. Oh, beautiful! Well done, YamateH. Able to land that Sunstrike.
Invisibility.
That poor Musica, man. Scythe of Ice picked up now by the Invoker. Rod of Athos is going to be Nuts' next item. But all I can see this. I think Titan are just really winning this fight by a bit. I know people are going to be like, but every team fight is going MVP. I just don't really despite the fact that maybe there's a kill advantage to MVP every team fight, I feel like Titan are going more and more powerful. Another Sunstrike, Ice Blast combination though. This Ice Blast may actually take out the Viper. It is going to be rather close. It's an Aghanim's upgrade. He does have some magic resistance, which is going to mean these ticks are going to be doing a bit less, but he's still going to fall. He shatters actually rather easily. Another hero down, another 50 seconds. This next push is going to be delayed. Death Prophet looks like she's going to be going for a Shiva's as her next item. And I'm still seeing so much potential for Titan to get much, much stronger. For example, the Sand King would love to be able to have his level 3 ultimate. Ancient Apparition is the same. Omni Knight, I'm curious to see what his next item pickup is, because he's already got the mobility item with the Force Staff. What does he go after? He's got 2,600 gold. Does he try and pick up like even just a Ghost Step that would help out quite a bit versus so much of the right-click damage that he's dealing with? At the same time, there's a Diffusal on the board for Musica, so maybe that isn't the greatest idea, or maybe it is. Maybe you actually force out a Diffusal at the wrong time, and that leaves Guardian Angel or Repel open to be used. Maybe he goes in for a late game item. I'm not sure how Omni Knight's going to be able to farm up one of those late game items, but it's possible. He certainly needs some survivability, whatever it is. Maybe he goes on for the Aghanims. You know, he's already got 3K. He actually is, you know, basically 3/4 of the way there. Blink away by Net. Arrow's going to come out, but he still has a Burrow Strike to be able to get... Oh, the arrow still lands. Now gets swapped in after the arrow hits. And they do wipe him up real quickly. I thought Net was going to be able to see that coming, but he rounded the corner at, I suppose, just the wrong time. And wasn't able to make any jump away. YamateH backs up for just a second, knowing exactly what MVP are going to do off of this. They found a beautiful pickoff, and they have everybody up. It's time to be able to 5-man down mid. YamateH, meanwhile, will try and force them to trade a bit. He's going to push in this bottom tier 2 a little bit more, claim it for himself, and if they can defend this tower, this tier 3, it'll be a big win that he actually got another tower. This tier 3 tower, Ice Blast, the Scepter inside the Vice. Raji does get hit by that Ice Blast, which is going to be forcing him on the defensive here for the next couple of minutes, the next couple of seconds. That's going to be some lost damage on the tier 3. Then starts moving out with that Repel. Starts focusing on Bonwa. Good swap there from Juve. But still flat. Does land on the Viper. Now the Viper going to be going down on the pops his ultimate. If they continue to go in, Raji's already lost his ult. Pops BKB will teleport away successfully, but it's just cleanup time. How many extra hero kills can they get? They found Juve. Looks like the teleport away from Musica will be successful, so they claim 2 there. Forced out a BKB charge for the Death Prophet. And again, big win. They didn't lose their tier 3 tower. They got that tier 2 in the bottom. Like, well, I say didn't lose. They practically did lose it. Look at that, 41 health. But the next time MVP try and push uphill, they can probably just deny it real quick before the damage is done. Titan are now going to be the ones on the aggression. They want to make sure that the rest of these team fights are forced on the MVP side of the base. This is what's so important about fighting up against push lineups like this, when dealing with Shadow Shamans or Death Prophets, making sure you fight outside of base. So even if you do lose the team fight, they're forced to use their ultimates and they won't be able to punish you that heavily if you do lose it. And if you win it, well, hey, shit, let's go take a tier 3 tower. Let's take down a Rax. MVP start pushing back out. I doubt Titan are really going to be looking for a fight underneath a tier 2. I'm expecting them to almost back up, hide themselves, and then reinsert as soon as they see an opening. I almost expect sort of a backup and smoke from them, but it doesn't look like that's going to be the case. They're just going to sit here and wait for the opportunity to jump.
Radiant structures are fortified.
MVP, see Musica. He's actually wrapped around to the side here, trying to get those clutch arrows. Unfortunately, a Repel put a stop to that one. Whoa! Dangerous swap here from Juve. He's going to be in some serious trouble here. He's going to be taking out. Ice Blast doesn't land, though.
Radiant's
and Raji actually has free reign to move at this point in the fight. The first line already down for the Wraith King. Blinks himself away just in time before any damage can come in. Yusuke on hot pursuit. He's going to throw out an arrow. Lands on Ohio. They should be able to get it up to the beautiful crest. BKB activated by Ben. They're going to turn on Raji, though. He's going to get popped. And there he goes. Ben will lose his life in return, though. Musica with his BKB keeps on running through. YamateH goes Swamp. Will be able to keep him alive. Doesn't look like they have any vision. Everybody else from the side of Titan will actually get away, and almost looks like they want to re-engage. They already popped the epicenter there, so I'm not sure if they really want to go for this. But Banwa's low, and I think that's what YamateH is really looking for right now. Ghostwalk is revealed. The pings come out. There goes the dust. They see him. YamateH caught by the arrow, and his greed does not pay out. The Ice Blast was coming in. They was really hoping for a pickoff on the Viper, but this time, MVP are prepared for it. Still, that's only 2 heroes up for MVP. At the very least, the Invoker will be dead about 20 seconds longer than the Death Prophet, so MVP can probably take some good map control right now and 5-man down the middle lane once again. If they can take a set of racks, they bought themselves so much more time to be able to work around. Roshan not up yet, but both teams probably aware it can be up in the about 2 to 4 minutes. He's got a ton of gold, man. This is going to be a Mirana turning into a straight right-clicking carry now. Like, the Diffusal is nice damage, especially very helpful up against the Omni Knight. The BKB gives you the defense you need, but Mirana really doesn't turn into a right-clicking hero until you have that next big luxury item pickup. And we'll see what it's going to be. Is it going to be a Butterfly, or is it going to be MKB? It looks like Butterfly is the pickup. Eagle Song, grabbed by the Mirana now. MKB certainly not necessary. Nobody has evasion on the side of Titan. I do really like it. It's just even in times where there isn't necessarily any evasion, the extra mini stun is fun to be able to have, and it's a really great damage item. But Butterfly is probably much more preferred and gives you some extra survivability on this Mirana. Maybe up against the Wraith King and the Invoker right clicks. Raji was able to finish up his Shivas now. Second level Diffusal, grabbed by Musica. He was left with only 1 charge there the last time, so. And not much else being built by Oh, lovely! MVP found exactly the pickoff they needed to be able to take this game. They just took out the Invoker. He had just come back. Now they're going to be able to pick up the Wraith King a second time. What a gank here from MVP that should turn out very well. Musica is going to be forced away. The Omni Knight was able to save his ally thanks to the Aghanim's upgrade. Unfortunately, he's still going to be perched up. Ben has nowhere really to run to from here. Healed up, force staffed, but the swap ensures the secondary kill, and that's what MVP needed. This game, I felt it was very dangerous for this game to be stalling out so much. They won't have the exorcism for the push, unfortunately, and bottom lane, Net is already aggressively pushing that out, knowing he needs to get some split push going on here. But MVP already know how to deal with this. The Viper wasn't even there with them in that last team fight. He was pushing out the top lane. He was showing himself in the bottom lane. They don't really need him necessarily. Mirana has enough damage. Mirana certainly has enough damage to be able to go uphill now. Oh, I forgot about this. I completely forgot about this. Guardian Angel actually affects buildings, and because of that, the building healed up a good 250 health.
Dire's structures are
I was like looking at that tower going, Jesus.
Dire's middle barracks are under attack.
At 41 health. Ned's going to jump in. Ice Blast, they need to focus Musica right away. The Ice Blast does land just barely, though. The rest of Titan forced back by the Shivas. YamateH comes back up. Arrow lands on the Ancient Apparition, but MVP forced to retreat back once again. 42 minutes in, 24-19. One hell of a close game, as even though it looks like MVP got a slight lead in gold still, sitting at about a 3,500 gold lead and a 10,000 experience lead, especially after those 2 pickoffs, killing YamateH twice in a row. Where's that Sunstrike going to? Looks like he's checking out the Roshan pit. Roshan is there, and I'm sure MVP know this as well. This is actually a cheese Roshan, which could be pretty key going into some of these later team fights. If Death Prophet has a cheese, much better item for Death Prophet to have than an Aegis. Actually worked that deep in, and look at that Ice Blast, but a beautiful swap from Juve. Actually saves Raji. Juve is dead, but the exorcism keeps on going, doing a ton of damage. Raji is low, but there's no way Titan can jump to him. Now with Ben coming back, Dual Scepter being used defensively to try and save him. Musica's going in deep up against Ancient Apparition. Will be able to claim him, but he maybe is a bit too deep as all his mana has been burned away. Skyrim Phase comes to save him. As the rest of the Radiant side, Raji is now able to heal up from his ghost, and they'll looks like they'll be able to stick around and focus down this melee Rax. Wraith King is back, but he can't really do much without YamateH. And that means this first set of rags down for MVP. So impressed with the way MVP have been able to
Dyer's
really
middle barracks
take control of some of these pickoffs and pushes, even going
Dyer's
this late
top
into the
tower
game.
is under attack.
I have to say that Titan maneuver though, I believe that was on offensive force staff from Omni Knight, and pushing the Death Prophet in while at the same time she was stunned by the Rayfire Blast. That was a pretty damn good play, but
Dyer's
Juve with the quick reactions, and this is exactly why Vengeful Spirit's so valued when you have a hero like Death Prophet, who you know is going to be targeted so early on in the team fight. Being able to get that clutch swap, that it saved the team fight entirely. Because once the Death Prophet was in the back, damage was still flowing in, but they had no way to be able to target her and be able to jump on her and finish off. Raji, though, just got caught. And he's able to force top of DKB and also use an ace Titan. Oh dear. That's going to be swap onto a high elf man. He's going to be taken down. It's going to be executed right here. Just easily. They push in with the epicenter though. Lands on two. Ben is doing what he can, but look at they're so tanky. They're not taking any damage from the epicenter anymore. Ben will fall a second time, and MVP now looking to be able to end this game as they try and charge. Catch out YamateH. Ooh, the teleport in, boots of travel in from the Death Prophet. Not close enough to be able to get the Yule Scepter usage just yet. Slow down the Shivas. And now he's going to pop the extra ball on the side of the fight. Well done by YamateH, but he's trying to get away. He's slowed down so much. Turn around from that. They're going to start focusing Raji down. He's getting low, but they don't have enough damage. Raji just keeps on going, getting low enough, even dropping below 3 limit health. But he's still alive, and every Frozy from Titan has been wiped. And honestly, I didn't think MVP, the stalling out that Titan was able to do with a really strong split pushing, very good play by them, but MVP has bottled on the collected man, and we're able to take this game. Well done by them. Beyonce is going to come back, but GG has already been called. It's only for one now. And Titan taken down by the MVP F6
Dyer's Ancient is
well
under
done
attack.
by these guys. I mean, in such a short time, this is a team that hasn't really been around that long. MVP has run through several rosters in their history, and this latest rendition, to be able to take down a team like Titan. First they went through Invasion Esports easily, man. They just tore them apart. Invasion just didn't even stand a chance. Now this matchup up against Titan, which was a bit closer, and I almost thought Titan would be able to stage a comeback.